Hello, and welcome to the Writing Center at PVCC. Today, we're going to talk about the parts of scholarly articles, where to find them, and what they contain. So first, what is a scholarly article? A scholarly article is an article written by experts in the field being discussed. It is then peer-reviewed, a process where other experts in the field review and evaluate the article before it is published in a journal. Often, professors will require students to use scholarly articles to ensure their research is accurate and up to date. Here at PVCC, students can find scholarly articles by searching the Jessup Libraries database on the PVCC website. Sometimes in college, you'll be required to do research for an assignment. Most of the time, this research will require you to read and reference scholarly articles. While this may seem intimidating at first, we can make the process of reading and understanding a scholarly article easier by breaking it down into its typical components. These components are abstract, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and sources. The abstract can be considered the summary of the article. In it, you'll typically find information about what's in the article and the results and conclusions that the authors discovered or came to. Usually, it's found at the beginning of the article, after the title and authors. The abstract is helpful because it can give you insight into what the article is about, which allows you to deduce whether the article will be helpful for your research assignment. Generally, you should refrain from citing from an article's abstract. While the information may seem complete, you're likely to miss out on important details or misconstrue the results and conclusions of the article. The introduction typically follows the abstract of a scholarly article. Sometimes the introduction is not labeled like the example here is, but generally speaking, it will follow the abstract and provide the topic and purpose of the article. Here, you can also find the author's hypothesis as well as background information on the importance of the study. The introduction will help you understand the research that has already been done on the topic and may provide background information for your own research. The next section in most scholarly articles is going to be the methods section, which may also be referred to as materials and methods. Here, the author or authors lay out the procedures for which they went about the study. The methods section may include design principles, how they selected or who the participants were, and/or the ways they recorded and tracked data. This section is important for determining whether or not the study is valid, or in other words, if the way they conducted their study allowed for the appropriate variables. You wouldn't want to use a scholarly article for a research paper if the way they conducted their study could have led to skewed or biased results. In a research project, you may use information from the materials and methods section to add or prove the lack of credibility to the source's findings. The results section is where authors give the findings of their study. You will often encounter charts, graphs, and other forms of data in this section. For example, the charts on this page show the results of the author's study that compare exam scores for students and the frequency in which students were quizzed. If you're doing a quantitative research project or one that needs to specifically examine the data from studies to draw correlations in your project, this section will contain a plethora of helpful information. Now, this section of a scholarly article can be quite intimidating or difficult to understand, so before investing too much time into this section, it's important to recognize when the information in the results section of a scholarly article is necessary to your assignment. The discussion section of a scholarly article is where the authors talk about the meaning behind the results and how the results might be significant, or how they might be applied to future studies, inquiries, or real-world applications. The authors may also compare their study to previous studies or look at ways they could improve on their study if they were to do it again. This section is particularly helpful when you want to use the source's findings to support your argument, as this is often where they lay out their findings most clearly. You may quote their findings or get ideas to help put your own research into perspective. We then finish the meat of the scholarly article with the author's conclusion section. Here, you'll find the author's final thoughts and observations, which may include further implications of the findings or calls for future investigation into the topic. Note that sometimes the discussion and conclusion are combined into one section. The last item of a scholarly article is going to be where the author or authors list their sources. You'll have to do the same thing when you finish your research project. Depending on the formatting style the author has chosen for the article, the sources page may be titled Citations, References, Works Cited, or Bibliography. However it's formatted, the general information is the same. These pages will contain information regarding the sources that the author used, including the source's authors, date of publication, publisher, website, journal, and the URL or DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier, a code given to articles to uniquely identify them within databases and can be used to find them online. Essentially, this list of sources should contain all of the information someone would need to locate the source and check that the information the author is using is valid. Additionally, we can use the list of sources to find more information on the topic we are researching. If the authors of this article used it for a topic we're researching, we might find it interesting or useful too. Finally, for more help understanding and reading scholarly articles, check out our other video, Tips and Tricks for Reading Scholarly Articles, or schedule an appointment in the Writing Center. We'd be happy to help you with this and any other writing assistance you may need.